Biden's weakness on the world stage is allowing a new axis of evil to form right before your eyes. Now, during his visit to North Korea, Russian President Vladimir Putin thanked Kim Jong-un for his support of the Ukraine invasion. And the two countries, they signed a mutual defense pact. So how's Joe responding to the emerging threat? Well, he's leading from behind and turning his back on our strongest ally in the Middle East. Look at this new report. The White House cancels a meeting. They had a temper tantrum, a meeting scheduled for tomorrow with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu because he posted a video saying the U.S. withholding military aid would be a disaster. Tonight, the White House is pushing back on this claim. Really? Here with reaction, Hoover Institution Senior Fellow Victor Davis Hanson, Florida Congressman Michael Waltz, Florida Congressman from the great state of Florida. You know, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, isn't it bad enough that we have a president of the United States that after the worst terror attack in Israel's history, where the equivalent of 40,000 Americans were murdered in a day, if you extrapolate out a population, and hundreds taken hostage, and you had murder, rape, beheadings, even of little children, and I've seen the videos of that day, and America says, we're not going to help you, and by the way, we don't want you to actually fight and win the war against the radical Islamic terrorists that attacked you. To me, that is the president of our country surrendering in the war on terrorism. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong, Sean. And in this case, of course, I would prefer these disagreements on either side happen in private. But at the end of the day, I think Bibi finally said enough is enough. You've got Chuck Schumer calling for regime change while Netanyahu's trying to lead his government in a war with hundreds of hostages being held. You've got Biden and his allies in the New York Times demonizing Netanyahu personally. You have them not objecting to the UN for the first time and abstaining with the anti-Israel measures there, and then tapping the brakes on arms that they badly need. By the way, many of them are precision guided, which is exactly what they need to prevent civilian casualties. And, oh, by the way, you've got the International Criminal Court threatening to arrest them for war crimes and genocide when it was exactly Hamas that committed them, not the democratically elected Israeli government. You have all of that happening. And what do they cancel, Sean? They cancel a meeting on Iran because we have new information that Iran could be weaponizing the enriched uranium into a nuclear weapon. So of all the things you're going to throw a temper tantrum on, it is what we're going to do to stop Iran from having nukes. It is just asinine bad policy after bad policy. And meanwhile, you have we hate in Florida hurricanes. You have us going from a Cat 1 to a Cat 5 hurricane in terms of this axis of evil between China, Iran, Russia, and North Korea. And you've got a president that's just asleep at the switch. This is only going to get worse from now until November. November and Donald Trump can't come soon enough. But I am deathly afraid of what happens between now and then.
You know, it really is amazing, Victor Davis Hanson, and maybe you can explain it to me. You're far smarter than I am. How is it that between being vice president and president, that Joe Biden only has a history of sucking up to the mullahs of Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terror? They were partly responsible in the training and the arming of the terrorists on October the 7th, helping Hamas. They help Hezbollah in Lebanon. They're helping the Houthi rebels out of Yemen. They are responsible for worldwide terrorism, and he has turned a blind eye to sanctions. He has given waivers that puts tens of millions of dollars in the hands of the Iranian mullahs so they can continue their pursuit of nuclear weapons, which I believe is the real existential threat to the world, not global warming, as Joe Biden claims. If you can explain that to me, you're a far smarter guy than I could ever want or dream of being.
Well, Sean, it's a continuation of this bankrupt and scary policy of Ben Rhodes and the Obamas. Remember, they cooked up this idea that they were going to empower an Iranian, Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthi axis. And this was going to be the Persian Shia counterbalance to Israel and the moderate Gulf regime. So they trashed Saudi Arabia, they trashed Israel, they built up this axis, and they called it creative tension. And then we could vacate the Middle East and then play one side off against the other, completely oblivious that our friends in the Gulf were far better than the Iranians, of course, and Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. But this is the most dangerous time in our lifetime, Sean, all the way until Inauguration Day, because Putin sees he's trying to get nuclear proxies in Iran and North Korea to do what he thinks we're doing in Ukraine. And Ukraine is not nuclear. More importantly, he looks at Biden and he says either he's debilitated and he won't react, or the Obamas are in control. And I remember what they did in 2014 when I took the Donbass and the Crimea, and I remember the hot mic in Seoul. So whatever it is, it's an open window for me. And then finally, Sean, it doesn't do any good to project this lack of deterrence after Kabul and the Chinese balloon and not doing anything to the Houthis, and then to demonize, to call Putin constantly crazy SOB, thug, murder, and don't carry a twig and then shout out loud, these insults. It's very dangerous what he's doing. And the military's short 45,000 recruits. He's cut the budget. It's a perfect storm, and we're in grave danger.
And you got a couple of axis of evils, right? Now you have Russia and North Korea on top of Russia and China and Iran. And then you have a president that's abdicated his role on the world stage as the leader of liberty and freedom worldwide. And that void is more apparent than ever and more scary than it's ever been as well. Frightening times. Victor Davis Hanson, Congressman, thank you both. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.